Hello, this is One English from BBC Learning English. I'm Neil and I'm Beth. There are many ways of saying sorry in English, and they all have slightly different meaning. If you tell me you're ill and I say, "Oh, I'm so sorry," that means I sympathize and hope you get better soon. If you step on my toes by mistake and I say, "I'm so sorry," you mean, "Oops, that was my fault, but I didn't really mean to do it." And if you don't really feel sorry, you might be sarcastic. "Oh, I'm so sorry," meaning exactly the opposite, that you're not sorry at all. Saying sorry for something you have done in English can be quite confusing, and to make things worse, the British are the worst champion at apologizing. In this program, we're discussing ways of saying sorry, and as usual, we'll be learning some useful new vocabulary as well. Sorry, but I have to stop you there, Beth, because first I have a question to ask. We know that the British love to say sorry. In fact, there's a recent survey found that some British apologize up to 20 times per day. So, according to the same survey, how many times per day does the average Brit say sorry? Is it A, 4 times per day, B, 6 times per day, or C, 8 times per day? I'm going to guess it's a 6 times per day. Okay, Beth, I'll reveal the answer later in the program. Since the British are famous for apologizing, it's no surprise that Louis Maloney studied and researched in the language of apologizing in Britain at the University of Nottingham and a professor of social linguistics. Louis spoke to the BBC Radio 4 program, Word of Mouth. I was really interested in looking at how people apologize. Particularly public figures, so I did a lot of research in the workplace and looking at the media and looking at politicians in particular. And one of the things that really interested me was the time that a lot of writers were talking about us entertaining an age of an apology. There's a real sense of public figures in particularly are called upon to apologize for multiple different things. And if you don't apologize, there are big faults passed. Saying sorry is especially important in the politics. And Professor Mulani studied the apologies of public figures, famous persons, including politicians, who are often discussed in newspaper or seen on radio or television. When politics makes mistakes, they are expected to apologize, and failing to say sorry is a false pass, a remark made in social situation that causes embarrassment or offense. Most politicians hate apologizing, and with a good reason. Saying sorry means taking responsibility, and the apologies need to be sincere. A good example of this is the apology of Boris Johnson made to the House of Commons during the Parkgate scandal in the UK when he broke the COVID lockdown rules and had to pay a fine. That's a sum of money paid as a punishment for breaking the rules. Here, Professor Louis Mulani analyzed the apology for the BBC Radio 4 program, Word of Mouth. It's very unusual in a political apology because he comes out and say, "I am responsible," but there's a caveat that he wasn't certain that he was breaking the rules. He didn't realize, which he continues to say in his apology that came out after the fine. So he repeats the apology and he caveats it around the other political events, and he says humility when he was in the house the day after he paid the fine. And was very quick to say, "I have paid the fine, I've given the wrong audition, I paid the money, let's draw the line under the whole business now." Boris Johnson claimed he didn't know he was breaking the rules. His apology contained a caveat, a warning that he said was limited are not completely true. Eventually, Boris Johnson did apologize, but many people didn't trust him, and he couldn't draw a line under the Parkgate scandal. If you draw a line under something, you try to move on from a bad situation and make a fresh start. Apologizing is hard work. The apology must be sincere, and often the person does something to show they mean it. Which reminds me of it's time to review the answer to my question, Beth. Yes, you asked me how many times a day did the average Brit say sorry, and I guess it was 6. Was I right? Well, I'm very sorry, but that was the wrong answer. The average Brit says around 8 times a day, making it probably the most overused word in the English language. Sorry about that. Right, let's recap the vocabulary we've learned from this program about saying sorry, starting with sarcastic, doing or saying the opposite of what you really mean. For example, saying, I'm really sorry when you aren't. A public figure is a famous person whose life and behavior is often discussed in the media and in public. A false pass is occasionally an embarrassing remark or action. A fine is a sum of money paid as a punishment for doing something illegal or breaking the rules. If you say something with a caveat, it contains a warning. What you have said might not be completely true or is limited in some way. And finally, if you draw a line under something you consider it finished in order to move on or make a fresh start, I'm sorry to say that, once again, our 6 minutes are up. And it's time to draw a line under this program. Goodbye for now.